Hi, my name is Megan Buchter, and I'm the director of the Fowler Center for Business as an Agent of World Benefit at the Weatherhead School of Management at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio. At the Fowler Center, our goal is to teach students about the ways that for-profit companies can make a positive impact all over the world. One of the ways that we do this is through a program that we run called Aim to Flourish. Aim to Flourish is used by professors in universities all around the world, and their students select companies that they're really interested in and conduct interviews of a business leader or social entrepreneur at those companies, and then write up stories about those organizations, and we share them on our Aim to Flourish website so that we can lift up and share stories of companies all over the world that are meeting one or more of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. As another aspect of this program is that every year we offer our annual Flourish prizes. We look at all of the stories published in the previous calendar year, and after a process where our jury looks at the stories, reads hundreds of stories, we announce one honoree for each of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Today, I have the absolute honor of being here with our Flourish Prize honorees for Global Goal number 2, Zero Hunger. And I'm joined here today by food ATM leader Aisha Khan and Professor Yaprak Anadol from the University of Dubai, the Dubai Business School. I'm so excited to talk to both of you today and hear more about how Aim to Flourish has been used in your class, Yaprak, and more about food ATM. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm very excited. I'm going to start by asking Yaprak if you can tell me a little bit more about using Aim to Flourish in your class and some of the outcomes that you've seen from your students.
Thank you, Megan. It's an honor to be here with you. And actually, our Aim to Flourish story started with when Chris Lassio has visited us in Zayed University a few years back for the PRME Regional Forum. So this is the time that we heard about it, and we become aware of this kind of amazing project, and we started to think about how we can include this project as an assignment in our classrooms. So since I was teaching business and society courses, and this year Introduction to Responsible Business Management, it is very useful and very practical for me as a professor to be able to implement it in the curriculum. And it became a kind of a tradition now to introduce my students this challenging work, because it is not easy to find and align the students to work with this kind of project and find the right and impactful good businesses, social businesses who can achieve a significant impact. And it was an amazing experience meeting with Aisha Khan. So she was, like a star. And we just advised our students to look for it different companies. And one of my team worked with Aisha and created this story of the business. And actually, it was very practical, useful, and students learn a lot from it. And it is really, really big inspiration for them in the future to be responsible leaders like Aisha Khan.
Yeah. That is so great to hear. I love that you learned about the Aim to Flourish assignment through Professor Chris Laszlo when he was there for the Prime conference that happened a few years ago. I think that's wonderful. And I know that you've been using Aim to Flourish for a few years now, so we're very appreciative to continually receive these stories from your class and from the Middle East and from Dubai. So it's really exciting, and really we're very honored to have you use our program and to continue to receive these stories. So thank you so much for that. Aisha, Yaprak has already kind of like led into mentioning you, and so I want to jump over and give you a chance to tell us a little bit about Food ATM and kind of what Food ATM is and what inspired you to start this organization.
Thank you, Ms. Megan. I'm really honored to be part of this program, and a huge thanks to Dr. Yaprak as well, because she's been so kind that she selected us for a case study for her students. To be very honest, we are so much hands-on with the food security for the lower income that I was somewhere in my heart wanting to reach out the younger generation, the students, because they are our future. But I did not know how to reach them because we are so much absorbed in our work 24 hours that there was no way I could have reached out. But there is a beautiful program like Aims to Flourish, and Dr. Yaprak and team selected us. So it was like an answer to my prayers where the students came up and they discussed about such a beautiful arrangement where they could have written a story of an existing project which is a real life social impact happening to millions of people. So, yes, we are blessed that we are here, have been selected by the University of Dubai and by your organization. So, Food ATM provides food security to the lower income. The lower income people in our country here in UAE constitute of approximately one third of the total population. That's like 3.3 million people. And globally, I would say it is actually at 52% now, especially after the pandemic. So it's very evident that they are very much there around us. They are the hands and legs building any city, any development, like whether it's the gardeners, the cleaners, the drivers, they're everywhere in every region, every country. But their salaries remain stagnant, and the cost of food, there is cost of living increasing, of course, everywhere, rents and many other things. But cost of food is increasing every quarter. And we did not pause to think about them. If the cost of food is increasing 4 times every year, and those people whose salaries are already low, have we thought what happens to them? They start compromising from maybe 3 meals a day to 2 meals, or 2 meals a day to 1 meal. So that is why Food ATM, an answer to food security for all those who do a lot of physical intensive work more than us, and they deserve to eat like any other human being. The very basic human need also, human right also, food. So this is the fifth year, Alhamdulillah. The cost of food is the same from 50 fils to 3 dirham. And we have a very beautiful group of human beings who conveyed our story. And by this, I really hope the whole world knows about it, especially the children, the students of schools and universities. They must know that social impact is possible while doing a business. Even if it's a very small cost, it's less than $1, it's like 80 cents. And we've been doing the same thing for 5 years now. So students have a lot to learn, that how could a business sustain over a period of time against the cost inflations and continue to help the lower income, a huge segment of our human society. So that's Food ATM.
Thank you so much. It's so interesting to hear about your organization. Can you tell us just a little bit about what kind of the moment that really inspired you to get going with what you're doing and to start Food ATM?
The very essence of the project is hunger. It was only hunger that I wanted to address, because as a young student at around at the age of 17, when we lost our father's support, I had to struggle for education and food. My brother was only 10 years of age, and I was doing my engineering at 17. We were left nowhere. So we faced hunger in a terrible manner, where we had to continue our education and we had to select either to buy books or to buy food. So those were the years when we were introduced to hunger by hunger itself. And those struggling years, I understood one thing, that as an undergraduate, I could find small jobs, part-time jobs, and I could support food, buying food for myself and buying my books and my brother's books and education. But what about those who don't even have education? We are fortunate that we could have some education, but there are so many millions of people who don't even have education. And like me, they don't have an opportunity to get a part-time job. So at that small age, I decided that when I grow up and I have some money, I'll give food. I'll give food to these people who need food, and they neither have education nor much money. So that was very simple thought behind the whole project. When I came to UAE, so fortunate to have people from 200 countries working here, and all of them were available, so that I could give my experimental meals to them. I started cooking myself, because I'm an IT engineer. I was working in the government of Dubai. So there was no avenue that I could have a kitchen and start my work. That wasn't there. And neither I had thought that I'll become a social entrepreneur, because I had a good career with me. I just started doing my experimental cooking. And these people were, they were so welcoming. They had my food and they're very appreciative of whatever I used to cook. To be very honest, I don't even think it was good or tasty because I was learning things from the internet and doing it. And they were so appreciative. So over a period of 2, 3 months, when I was doing this to like 12 to 15 people every day, I learned that they were supporting their life situations by the free meals that I'm giving. Somebody was paying for his parents' education, somebody was paying their children's education. And this was, it took, I was put into a very great state of guilt because honestly, I was just trying to learn cooking. And because I didn't know whom to give it and I did not want to waste food, I was giving it to them. So that is honestly how the journey started. But once I came to know that I'm positively impacting so many lives, I decided to continue, which I continued doing free for 12 years while I was working with the government of Dubai. So that gave me a lot of confidence that, yes, I know this work and now I'm a good cook. So let me walk up to the Ministry of Economic Development and let me form a company. Or maybe they can form a company and we can all keep food. So they said that doesn't work. It doesn't happen like that. You just can't come and keep food. If something goes wrong, some food contamination, which Aisha to catch? If so many Aishas come and keep food here. So if you want to do something like that, then you have to form a company of your own and a brand of your own. Since I wanted to do something for them from a very small age myself, I decided to quit my corporate career and start Food ATM. So I invested all the money myself because there was no one either interested or understanding what I want to do. Like when I was proposing my idea to my relatives and my friends, it was like me versus entire Middle East. The Middle East happens to give food in the month of Ramadan. Mashallah, they do it in a large abundance. But after Ramadan, there was no continuity. And I could not convince myself that after Ramadan, I won't feel hungry till next Ramadan, till next year. I feel hungry 2, 3 times a day. So I decided to set sail on this journey alone. So I started it myself with my money. And now, Alhamdulillah, we are a big company.
That's such an inspiring story. I love hearing about that. And you touched a little bit on this when you were talking. You mentioned somebody that said, because I didn't have to pay for these meals, I was able to support my parents a little bit more. What other impacts have you seen from being able to run Food ATM and people being able to get meals in this way?
It's a very beautiful and journey full of contentment because every day, now that we have crossed 50,000 meals a day and we got a Guinness World Record for doing that. So I keep telling my children we should get a Guinness World Record every day because we're doing this every day. But we don't get it, we got it once. So yeah, with so many thousands of people having food, I have at least a few hundred people, and now we have Food ATM in many cities, many Emirates. I visit all of them at least once or twice every day. So we have few hundreds of people just waiting outside Food ATM to say one thanks to me. And they actually heartfelt thanks where they show me how their son has graduated or they bought a bicycle for their daughter. And, very small things like they have sealed a leaking roof. Their children now don't sleep in wet beds. And they have been able to pay the EMI or somebody's father's leg got operated. And see, these are very very human life situations which can happen to any one of us, but them holding Food ATM responsible for a solution in their life is such a blessing, such a blessing. So I can actually write a few books on my daily experiences, that how beautiful this journey is when you care for others, especially when you care for the lesser privileged and people who can't give you anything in return except for blessings. So this is a very beautiful impact on our lives and the social impact that is exponentially growing every day. Alhamdulillah.
It is really amazing to read about the impact that Food ATM is making, and to read those individual stories from people that are then able to do something else because they're able to be fed by Food ATM and then use that money to support their families in a different way. So it's the impact that you're having and the stories that you're hearing are amazing. I'm curious where you see the organization going in the future, what are your plans to expand, or what do you think you're going to do next?
I go by the literal definition of food security. Food security means affordable food which is available and accessible. So if I have an affordable food, which we have now proved, it's like the fifth year and nothing has changed as far as cost is concerned, quantity and quality is concerned. So I think one parameter is achieved. Yeah, we are affordable food and we are able to sustain the business. We got the understanding of the whole business and okay. But what about availability and accessibility? UAE is made up of 7 Emirats, and these are quite, huge places where if a person is hungry in Abu Dhabi, he will not come to Dubai. Or if a person is hungry in Sharjah, he will not go to Ras Al Khaimah. These are different cities. So for me, the first of all, the target is having at least one food ATM in every Emirat so that the lower income people of that Emirat or that city precisely can be helped. So food security to be localized. That's my first agenda. Only then I can think further of either going beyond UAE or having multiple food ATMs within each Emirat because every city is large. From going from one corner to of one city to another also becomes a challenge. Or rather having a transportation done or food trucks done within that Emirat after my kitchen is established. So that's my only agenda. I tell even my children and many students who come to study every day, the children, I don't want to reach the stars. It's far high above. I want to reach the tummies of the people who are on earth and who need us. So I might not go as high as stars, but at least on land, if we are able to do something for the lesser privileged, that will be great. That's the agenda.
That's really wonderful to hear. And I wish you all the best with achieving those goals, because I think it's really important. You mentioned this a little bit when you were first speaking, but I'm curious about your advice for students. So you mentioned that you had wanted to connect with the younger generation and that this really gave you the opportunity to at least talk to this one group of students. And now, we've had many, many students that have read this story and we're sharing this story through our Aim to Flourish platform. But what is your advice for the younger generation when thinking about how they want to make an impact?
There is a story which all of us would have read in our childhood or while growing up, that a small child asks his grandfather that I want to have a successful career. Which domain should I select? Which line of work? Like I see a lot of doctors, engineers, architects, IT professionals. What do you think? Where should I go? I mean, why don't you give me an advice where the domain is less populated and I can grow successful very soon? So the grandfather says that select the domain of humanity, which is least crowded, and you will succeed. So that was a thing that I read in my past. I don't know about the child if he took it seriously, but I took it very seriously and I walked the path. So my advice for all the children, I call them children because even my children are graduating and they are in universities. So this is for all the students, whether in school or universities. They must attempt, if they have a burning desire to become a social entrepreneur, they must walk the path. None of the parents I have not met, maybe you have met, maybe I'm wrong from other geographies perspective, but in all through my journey, I have not met parents who advise their children or support their children when they want to become social entrepreneurs. Because there is a myth related to social entrepreneurship that social entrepreneurship is equivalent to charity, where generally there's more of giving and nothing of getting. So I want to break that myth because we as a company have grown leaps and bounds. Alhamdulillah, we are at more than 7 locations. We are cooking in more than 7,000 square feet. And we got the Guinness World Record. The project is part of United Nations Global Compact. I'm on the board of directors of United Nations Global Compact. So there are so many things which being a social entrepreneur also you're able to achieve because social enterprises also massively contribute towards world economy. Like we are recruiting so many people every day and giving jobs. So there are more jobs being created. With all the funds that we collect, we are opening new food ATMs where more people can get food. So there's a social impact and business simultaneously happening. So all the children, all the students, they must walk the path of social entrepreneurship with their own wit. They have their own intelligence, their own creativity, while they can make a social impact as well. So don't be scared. Go ahead and become social entrepreneurs. Like any other companies, any other profession, you will face difficulties, but there is light at the end of the tunnel.
That is such a wonderful answer. I want to share that with all of my students in all of our programs. So thank you so much for sharing that and for having that perspective. I really appreciate that. I think I think you're right. Like sometimes there is that perspective that, oh, this is charity or this is meant to be a side job. And it's, we're working on flipping that perspective to say that, this is a real career path. There are ways that you can have a good life and a good career, but still helping humanity, helping society, helping to achieve, sustainability for everyone in every aspect of what that word means. So I have one final question, for both of you. And that's this. It's that, pretend that you were to fall asleep tonight into the best sleep that you've ever had in your life because you sleep for the next 7 years and you wake up and it's 2030. And, what is it that you see? What is it that everything that you have wanted to have achieved has now been achieved? And, what is that? What does that look like for you?
I would like to see the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals per se, like to, if possible, and because they are very relevant. And now there is something called Forward Faster initiative of the UNGC. So I would like to see the living wages is achieved, at least climate issues has been resolved, and especially the gender equality has been achieved, as well as the financing and investments are equally and fairly managed. And also everyone now, it's the big issue of the water issues that has been solved. So I would like to see everyone happy, eventually, and, like to move forward together with the peace and with the, just working in a peaceful life. So this is I would like to see.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I love the answers that I get when I ask this question, and so I keep asking it in all of our interviews. Aisha?
Yeah. So Ms. Megan and Dr. Yaprak, the cost that we have been dealing with for 5 years now has been stagnant, because as we proceed into the markets, we go for the near expiry food raw materials. When it comes to near expiry food raw materials, there are two objectives. One, that definitely I get it for a lesser cost. Two, that we are actively supporting the country from all the food that's going into landfill and creating greenhouse gas emissions. So beyond there's a landfill prevention, we are also able to feed a lot of tummies. So it's working dual purpose for us. By the time, I see it this way, by the time it's 2030, I would really, I really want the world to have understood this working combination, that yes, there can be food wastage prevented from going to landfill. At the same time, the same food can be utilized for a social purpose, social impact of feeding so many tummies. So by 2030, I see it that Food ATM has achieved food security for UAE for sure. And globally, this model is functioning everywhere, wherever there are lesser privileged, lower income communities, which is there everywhere, regardless of whether it is Food ATM doing it or anybody else. It really doesn't matter. Somehow, people understand what we are doing and adopt it in their own regions and do exactly what we are doing. That way, together, we will bring down world hunger, and there actually might be zero hunger, where people might not sleep hungry. Because if everybody starts doing what we are doing, then I think we all can solve it. World hunger might be a thing of the past. Like in 2030, I might be standing behind a podium and saying, we used to talk about world hunger in 2023. Now see, it's not there. So yeah, that's what I want.
I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. I want to see you behind that podium saying those words in 2030. So I look forward to that. I really appreciate the fact that both of you took the time to have this conversation with me. Dr. Yaprak, I appreciate the fact that you use Aim to Flourish in your course and that your students write these stories that we then get the chance to share with the world. And Aisha, just learning about Food ATM I mean, it's a beautiful story, and so many people have enjoyed reading it and reflecting on it, and that's why we've chosen you as our Flourish Prize honoree for Global Goal number 2, Zero Hunger, and we just really can't wait to see where this organization goes and see all of these dreams realized. But I really appreciated our conversation today, and so thank you so much to both of you, and I look forward to everything that comes next.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All the best.